Hey y'all, so this is a new video that, game I just played, against my opponent who is slightly lower rated than me, who's 2004, and, well, let's just get into it. So, my opponent starts off with e4, and I play the Caro-Kann because it's the only opening I know. Now, d4, d5, and my opponent goes for e5, which is, of course, the advanced variation, a very reasonable variation. This is what most of the time you see at the highest level. I kind of like it at my level because it gets me easy positions, and I kind of just enjoy the style. So I play bishop f5, which is the move I chose. Bishop f5 and c5 are the two options, but c5, if I remember correctly, a long time ago, there was a line that I saw which was f4 in some areas here, which is very annoying. Maybe it was f4, maybe it was f4 later. I'm not sure. Oh, wait. No, it was c5. Yeah, c5 takes here, and then something like f4. Something like f4. Maybe not. I don't know. Either way, I play bishop f5. My opponent plays knight c3, and I go e6, of course. Following to my idea, I want to play c5. I want to develop the bishop. Simple ideas in the Caro-Kann. Everyone knows the case. And my opponent plays an interesting move. My opponent plays a move that I haven't seen in a very long time. My opponent plays the move g4. And this is the bayonet attack. I believe this is the bayonet attack. Because g4 on its own is very... It's interesting. It's not a move you see every day. I've lost to this opening like a couple of times actually because the bayonet attack is a lot more fearsome than it appears. What most people do here, if you want to play like a different opening, one that's more widely known, you could switch to a tall with h4. That's kind of what I was mostly considering. That's what I kind of thought he was going to do, but he plays g4, and so I go bishop g6, of course, and my opponent goes to the move knight e2, which is very interesting. I don't know if this is bayonet theory. I don't know the bayonet very well. This is one of the openings in the Caro-Kann that I don't really remember what to do against. Like I it's just because I haven't seen it very much, and I don't use like an opening book for a Caro-Kann. I just kind of play what I know. Either way, I go c5, of course, which is the main idea of the Caro, of course, trying to develop the bishop to c5, and my opponent plays h4, and I go h5. I respond with h5. Now h5 is a move. Most of the time when my opponent goes through this tall style gameplay with h4, g4, and trying to trap my bishop, I normally... Actually, this wouldn't even trap my bishop. Even if you got h5, I would have this, but still, you don't want to trade the knight for the bishop like this. If I can draw arrows to the one square, you don't want to do that. Normally in the tall, I play the move h6. In most lines, I normally play h6 because it's a little more like, I don't know, concrete. It's a little more like solid and cagey. It's just more my style than h5 because normally h5 gets me these interesting, like very aggressive positions. But I decided to change it up here, mostly because I wanted to, and secondly because now the pawn, which would be on f3, like let's go back to the beginning. Let's say after bishop f5, my opponent plays h4, h6, g4. I normally go e4, bishop e4 here, and my opponent will play f3, and I'll come back. This is the tall variation, and what I like about this is that he's very overextended, because his f3 pawn is not good. His f3 pawn is just bad. It's just a bad pawn. But the way the game transpired, and we can get back to it like this, the way the game transpired, now he doesn't have to play f3. If I go bishop e4, he'll just take my bishop. So that's why I played h5, and my opponent responds with knight f4. And here I actually already thought I made a mistake. I thought I made a mistake because knight f4 kind of caught me off guard. But then I made a mistake. I did make a mistake after this because I had already thought I made a mistake. But the move here is simply bishop h7, and you sack the pawn. Bishop h7 here, and you're able to win the pawn back in a variety of ways. But mostly you just have compensation. Like you have the development against the center, and you're actually doing very well here, even though you are temporarily down a pawn. So I shouldn't have worried too much, but instead I played knight e7. And my idea was this. I'm giving up the h5 pawn. He can take the h5 pawn. Also, I really don't want to ruin my structure, so of course after takes, this is actually what happened in the game. If GH, this is also what happened in the game, I would be winning the pawn on H4, and also this pawn is actually kind of more of a liability than an asset, in my opinion. And if he takes it immediately, if he takes the pawn immediately, if he goes knight H5, if he goes knight H5, I would take, and that is miserable. I have this at the very least, which is a simple deflection tactic, and well, my bad. First of all, we do this, and then we win the pawn back. Yeah, but that's a simple deflection tactic at the very least, and then I'm going to win the pawn back, and these are doubled pawns, and they're very, very weak. So I wasn't too scared of any of that, but my opponent takes. The best move here is very interesting. The best move here is to just completely like abandon the side of the board and go knight b5. Very interesting. The idea is simply to put a knight on d6, and I don't actually have a very good counter. If I go knight c8, then just knight takes g6, and then I have double g pawns, and my king is very weak, and I have a weak e6 pawn. And yeah, there's no other way to stop knight d6. If he found that, I mean, kudos to him, but luckily he didn't. Takes, and my opponent goes for the move queen g4, which I already thought was a bit of a mistake. And here, of course, my knight is being attacked, right? So I play the simple move knight f5. This attacks the center, and this brings the knight back to a very active square. That's reasonable, right? I mean, that makes a lot of sense. The best move, however, is very interesting. The best move is takes. The best move is to take first. Take first, and then actually here knight f3 would win, so we can't recapture. You'd have to go back here, and then knight f5, and then I'm better. Takes, I can take, and then I can develop my knight with tempo, and I'm doing quite well here just because of my development, and his queen is actually a punching bag for my pieces. Well, not a punching bag, more like a springboard for my pieces, which just allows them to get out a lot faster. And now, although I don't have the bishop here, my knight is actually stronger because of the slightly locked center. Anyway, that didn't happen. I simply went back to f5. My opponent played bishop g5, and I felt very confident. I felt like I was playing this position quite well. And I make a big blunder. I blunder here. I have one and only move that isn't a mistake, but I lose a pawn, and it's actually worse than that. I miss that after the move queen b6, which looks natural and puts pressure on the center. I just completely miss knight d5. Knight d5. And I mean, I'm almost lost. If I recapture queen takes knight, my king is so wide open right now. It's +3. I'm down a pawn. Actually, I'm not even down a pawn. I can take, but then it's checkmate. It's checkmate. So I'm actually on the border of being lost, and I get so lucky that my opponent doesn't find it. My opponent plays bishop e5, and I haven't seen this either. I don't see this until after the game. I don't see this whole knight d5 idea until after the game, which is kind of embarrassing. It's not that hard of an idea to spot. I simply play knight c6. I don't spend too much time because knight c6 is very, very logical. Knight d5 still wins the game, but my opponent plays dc, and now the ball's back in my park, and I am fine. I am now just simply much better. I take back with the bishop, targeting the f2 pawn, and saying that your king is actually kind of weak. Knight d5 doesn't work now. Just saying knight d5. Oh, whoa. Knight d5, bishop b2. What? Why is knight d5 bad? Why is knight d5 indeed good? Oh, simply bishop c6 first. Oh, okay, I'm an idiot. Oh, well, what else is new? This is also bad. This is okay. I know nothing about chess. Anyway, my opponent goes long castles and gives up the pawn on f2, and I simply take it, losing to knight d5 again. Both of us had just a crazy blind spot for knight d5. I don't know why. I'm just either way. There's not much more I can say about it because I've said enough already. I'm up a pawn now. Let's just say that my opponent doesn't have knight d5, and I'm better now. My opponent goes bishop d3, and now it's clearly better with the move that I thought was very interesting. I played bishop e3. Technically, I could have played knight e3 and force traded off the bishops, and then I could have probably, I don't know, either queen takes or bishop takes. I'd probably play bishop takes in a game. King b1, and then I'm just better. I'm up a pawn. My g6 pawn can be handled by bishop h6, most likely, and I am better. Also, knight, also just low-key, the e5 pawn is hanging. Like, knight e5 doesn't work right now because of queen g7 with the fork. Not exactly, actually, yeah, it's just the fork. And, yeah, I can't allow that. But simply bishop h6, and I'd be fine. Although, I play bishop e3. My opponent castles. And this just allows, I'm not castle, my opponent is king b1. And I simply take on e5 with the double attack of the bishop and the queen. And I will be grabbing the bishop pair away. Now, my opponent gives me this check. I come back with the knight on c6. And I was praying that my opponent would take on f5 here, because I had a very sneaky idea. Normally you'd say, oh, well, taking on f5, very easy. I would be taking back with the f pawn, and then my pawn would be weak. But my pawn would be weak here. And after takes, my opponent can just grab this pawn. And, I mean, I don't like that position. I've doubled f pawns. My king is still on the center. Is h pawn, which actually can be an issue if I ever castle. And although I'm up a pawn, that's not worth it. That's really not worth it. So after bishop f5, I had a very interesting idea, and my opponent luckily played bishop f5, and this allowed me to play the move bishop g5. Taking the other bishop instead, not doubling my pawns, just making sure that now I have the bishop pair, and I'm simply better. I thought this bishop was bad. He had to leave, and I thought I was winning here during the game, because now I can even go long castles, and I'll be fine. My opponent takes on d5, and it gets sharp very, very quickly. Now, I thought about this for a while. And I realized that I basically have to take. If I don't take, if I play queen d8, I'm not better anymore. Queen e4 is the top engine line, and then I mean, like, I have nothing. He's fine. He has a lot of compensation, but instead of just shying away and playing queen d8, which is not the best move, I play the only winning move, which is ed5. And this is very interesting. My opponent decides here to give me a check on e1, of course, because that's kind of the point of the sacrifice. A check on e1. And here's the craziest engine line I think I have seen in a very long time. I played bishop e3. Because I thought it was more logical than bishop e7. Bishop e7 looked a little passive. It looked like I might not be able to castle in some lines because the knight would be an issue. And after rook d5, I'm not too sure. Short castles, I thought that my bishop was very loose here, and I thought that he might have some tactics on it. And I thought bishop e3 was a little more tactical. It was a little more active. And if he plays rook d2, I can simply castle and I'll be fine. But after bishop e3, he has one and only move that ends up drawing the game, and it is crazy. One and only move that draws the game. The move queen a3 draws the game. And now you might say, okay, I understand the idea. The idea is to not let black castle and attack the bishop. But black just has d4. And there's nothing after c3. Black is fine. Black can play knight e7. Black just won't be losing. Black is fine. But you don't play c3 here. Instead, you play another brilliant move. You play rook takes e3. Rook takes e3. The only move. Everything else loses. Rook takes e3 is the only move. You have to see this from a distance. Rook takes e3. I have to take back. If I don't take back, then I'm losing. My king is gutted in the center. So I take back. And now another only move. Everything else loses. Bishop d. Oh, not there. For example, queen there actually just hangs the queen. I don't know why that was in my area, but I showed this line to myself beforehand. Bishop d7 is another move, but you might say, okay, I understand the idea. King d8, bishop c6, it's equal, right? But then no. I'm up a piece. I'm still up 2 pieces. Even if it gets 1 piece, I'll still be up a piece. So it's crazy. King d8. And let's say bishop c6. Let's say bishop c6. He actually has a couple moves that draw here. Bishop f5 actually is a draw. This is actually a very simple draw, but I want to show you the cool tactic. Bishop c6, king c8 only move, of course, and my opponent has another wicked move. Actually, he has 2 wicked moves. I'll show you one of the easier one first, and then I'll show you the harder one. Bishop f3 is the easier one. And now you might say, wait, what is this threat? What is this threat? Okay, I'm fine, right? I'll just bring my rook in. I'll just bring my rook over. Rook d8. But no, you misunderstand. Queen c3 check. And you might say, okay, queen c7. I'm fine. But no, you're still losing. Bishop g4 check. And for example, the simple move, if I play rook d7, which is the best move, queen g7, and I mean, you can see why this is losing. I'm at least down some material here. It's pretty obvious, but it's incredible. After king b8, my opponent simply has rook d8 here, check, here, checkmate. Another crazy checkmate. So the only way to draw here, is not rook d8. The only way to draw is to make some luff for the king on the a file with either a5, a6, or just simply playing the move king b8 to sidestep the queen c3 check. Okay, that's not that hard, right? That's the end of that line. So let's see the other line. The other line that's a draw for white. The only other line that's a draw for white. Everything else is losing besides bishop f3 and this line. The other line is bishop takes b7 check. Bishop takes b7 check. And this is crazy. This is just insane. So, obviously, king takes e7. You have queen e7. You can't play queen c7 because of rook d7. And this is just obviously a stalemate. I mean, not a stalemate. This is obviously a perpetual check. If you ever go to the back rank, like, I'll give you some checks. If I go to b8 and he has this check, if I go to c8 he has this check, that's pretty simple, right? A6, he has this check. Yeah, everything that makes sense. But what about queen c7? What about queen b7? Well, instead of giving you a check, he has another crazy move. He has queen takes e3, another insane move. I'm up 4 points of material, and he's just taking pawns. It's a perpetual check still, and I don't have any safety. Queen c6. Let's see. He has not there. Queen h3. If I go up, he has this rook move, so I really shouldn't go up. Yeah, king b7. Yeah, it's somehow not losing. I don't know. King b8. He'll just give me checks from far away for the rest of the game. Even here, and I go up, he has queen b3, and he has another perpetual check. If after queen e3, I play something simple. I play like rook d8, for example. I actually lose. I lose queen c5 and queen c7, rook d8, king d8, here, and I'm down a pawn. That is the most insane engine line I have ever seen. And it comes off of bishop e3 all the way back here, like 10 moves in the past. The most wild engine line ever. Oh my gosh. Not ever. There's been some stupid things, but this is a wild engine line. My opponent doesn't find it. My opponent plays rook d5. My opponent doesn't find it. He plays rook d5, and I simply castle, and now I'm better because my bishop isn't pinned anymore, and I'm simply going to win the game. Let's for the rest of the game just for funsies, but Yeah, that's crazy. I'm up a piece. I'm clearly winning. My opponent plays queen, rook b5. I play this move queen d4. If queen takes, I'll take back with probably the knight, actually. Yeah, I'll probably take back with the knight because it comes with this fork, and I'll pick off another one of his pieces, and that's always good. Yeah, my opponent doesn't take. I go rook a8 because I want to keep my f7 pawn extra defended. If something like rook b7 were to happen, like for example, if I was going to play rook fe8, I'm probably still winning, but rook b7 makes some threats, and I don't like that. Yeah, that's why rook a8. My opponent plays a3, getting his king some left so that there's no back rank tactics. I play queen d2, attacking the rook. Queen a1. I mean rook a1. And I play knight d4 with a simple fork. And now I'm simply winning the game because, well, I was already winning the game, but now I'm winning the game even more. My opponent tries to play on. My opponent plays h6, but simply I first sacrifice the knight on a3 because, of course, desperados are great. ba, and then I take on h6. And I mean, rook here, there's nothing. I trade the rooks, and my opponent resigns in this position. Yeah, but that's by far not the most interesting part of the game. Most interesting part of the game is, of course, the insane engine line that, I mean, this is wild. I want to show on the recording. Like, let's see. Can I show this? This will be a little awkward, but I do really want to show how many lines there are here. Look at that. Look at all of those variations there. That is wild. I really hope this picks up on the recording. But that is just insanity. I have to fix this now. That is just insanity. How much there is there. Yeah, that looks like one of those like crazy like grandmaster puzzles. Anyway, I hope you guys saw that. If you didn't, I mean, whatever, but yeah, that was this game. I hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys found this instructive. I hope you guys found it entertaining with the wild engine line, and yeah, good evening and good night.